One of the most widely discussed educational issues over the past several years is the decline in academic performance and engagement of boys and young men in schools, colleges, and universities, particularly when compared to girls. These problems are increasingly apparent in the United States. They also exist in other first world countries, including the United Kingdom and Australia. In the U.S., boys score lower than girls on standardized achievement tests of reading and writing. Boys also have lower school grades, lower engagement in school, higher dropout from school, higher rates of repeating a grade, higher rates of emotional disturbance and learning disabilities, and placement in special education, higher rates of suspension and expulsions, and lower rates of post-secondary enrollment and graduation than girls. The Maine Boys Network, a partnership between Bates College, Bowdoin College, Boys to Men in Portland, Bridgeton Academy, Colby College, the Great Schools Partnership, the Mitchell Institute, Portland Public Schools, Unity College, and the University of Maine at Farmington, was established in 2005 to address some of these concerns. Members of the Maine Boys Network are committed to promoting the health and successful development of all boys from pre-adolescence through young adulthood by supporting their success in academic settings. Over the past 5 years, we have sponsored 3 statewide conferences, offered workshops to parents and teachers, and started a newsletter. As our discussion of boys' experience in schools evolved, we were struck by the absence of real boys' voices in the majority of local, statewide, and national research, reports, and conversations. Thus, in the fall of 2007, we began a focus group project to listen to boys and young men in Maine as they talked about their educational experiences. Specifically, we wanted to understand what factors contributed to boys' engagement and disengagement with school. We wanted to understand the reasons boys perceive themselves as achieving or underachieving in order to help explain recent trends related to male academic success. Ultimately, we conducted focus groups with over 600 boys in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and colleges from all of Maine's 16 counties. We asked boys about their experience in school and what works and what doesn't work to facilitate their academic success. A number of key issues and themes emerged from our analysis of what boys had to tell us in these focus groups. Perhaps our most important and surprising finding was the sense that strong, genuine, mutual relationships with their teachers were very important to boys' academic engagement and achievement.
They kind of have a relationship with the students. They don't just give the assignment and sit down.
This focus on the power of relationships in boys' school lives goes against the conventional view that boys' gender socialization entails a distancing from others and the development of an autonomous and independent sense of self, as well as the conventional messages that boys get about what it means to be a real man. It does, however, resonate with more recent work on boys' development, which focuses on the importance of connection and relationships in ensuring healthy developmental outcomes for all boys. We also asked boys in our focus groups to tell us about teachers who they think are effective with boys, who understand and connect with boys in their classrooms. We contacted a number of these teachers, primarily elementary and middle school teachers, both male and female, and interviewed them individually in order to gather their perspective on what works with boys in schools and classrooms across the state. What we heard from these dedicated and hardworking teachers was remarkably similar from interview to interview. Virtually every teacher stressed the importance of building relationships with boys as the foundation for academic success and engagement in their respective classrooms. This focus on relationship building was so uniformly strong among the teachers with whom we talked, and it resonated so strongly with boys' own sense that a relationship with a caring, dedicated, passionate, inspiring teacher was critical to their feelings of commitment to and engagement in school, that we believe it is the most important finding of our two-pronged research project.
I think a big part of it is that just like girls, boys are relationship-based, but I think we forget that sometimes because I think it's a different type of relationship than that of a girl's. I think girls have much more open, outward relationships with teachers. They, are social with them, they joke around with them. And I think guys, it's kind of a more low-key level because I think they're trying to balance their pride and their outward appearance a little more than the girls would. And so I think that it's, for them, it's still important that a teacher touch base with them and shows them that they care about them as a student and they want them to do well and that relationship's there. But they're not going to necessarily give it back in the same sense a girl is. So I think sometimes teachers forget that.
As such, this webisode is focused entirely on the importance of building relationships with boys in the classroom as a key element in promoting academic engagement and achievement. Our goal is to share some of the insights we gain from our interviews with teachers as a means to generate conversation about these important issues among other teachers, guidance counselors, administrators, parents, and others committed to promoting boys' success in schools. 3 primary themes emerged from our analysis of what teachers told us about relationship building with boys in their classrooms. These can be viewed as overarching goals or ends toward which teachers strive as they interact with and connect with boys in school. Number 1, being genuine and authentic, being yourself. Number 2, treating boys with respect, suspending judgment. And number 3, listening deeply, seeing boys for who they really are. We will begin by sharing several excerpts from our interviews with teachers that highlight each of these themes before turning to different strategies that teachers offered for achieving these goals in their classroom. Being genuine and authentic, being yourself.
Good teachers treat us like people, not students.
They need to, in order for them to be successful in school, I think boys need to learn what compromise is. I think a lot of boys come in with chips on their shoulders, you know, thinking I'm guarded and I'm not gonna do this and I'm not gonna do that, and or I don't want you to see this sensitive side of me. I don't want you to see that I'm, you know, that I'm smarter than I really am. You know, I don't want you to see these sorts of things, and they need to come in and you know, these are the ones, like most boys are fine with me. I'm very honest and I knock that chip off almost immediately. But I think if we're talking about in general, and what I see as maybe a potential problem for a teacher would be the kid that comes in with the, you know, this is my life, and it doesn't see the value in education. Value is really difficult to teach a kid. I think value is something that parents need to teach kids. I mean, if a parent doesn't see value in learning, how are you going to teach a child? You know, so I really kind of approach it as, these were my struggles. This is what I did, and I kind of, you know, show them. You know, I see things backwards. Okay, you know, I'm dyslexic, and you're going to see it when I'm writing on the board someday. You're going to see me do a B and a D, and you're going to raise your hand, and you're going to say, Mr. Barnes. I said, now some of you are going to pick on me, and some of you are going to laugh. I said, and that's okay. I'm fine with it. But some of you are going to be polite enough to say, Mr. Barnes, you might want to fix your B, and I will fix my B quietly. You know, and there'll be no, so they see that and they go, oh, this guy's real. And if this guy is real, then I can be real, and I can be compassionate, and
so really, you know, engage your students, allow them to see that you are a human being and you can have that relationship, but make sure that you establish your guidelines and parameters of the relationship that you're going to have. You know, it's a professional relationship, but try to engage your students as best as possible. Don't shut your door, you know, at the end of the period and just lock yourself in there. Keep your door open, greet people in the hallway. Just make yourself presentable in the school, and they will come to you eventually. So just, you know, be a welcoming figure within the school, and just get to know them, and just ask them and show them, yes, someone does care at the school.
Treating boys with respect, suspending judgment.
It's important that the teacher understands who you are and doesn't judge you or anything.
I think number one is always be straight with them, because they know as soon as you're full of it, they know. You're done. Tell them what you want. Don't play games. Don't, you know, use double speak and say what's, you know, just be honest and straight with them. Tell them what you want. They're either going to do it for you or they're not. Don't push too hard, because then it becomes a power struggle. And most of the males that I know, if you pressure them, they're going to push back eventually. They get to a breaking point. So you need to really be careful about that. And boys, especially at this age, are getting to a point where they're starting to feel their way along. They're not always willing to go along for the ride anymore, which they may have been, not because they're bad kids, but because they're finding their way in this world. They've got to know where they can push and where they can fit in. I think that's really huge.
Having been a boy myself, what worked for me was having teachers who served as role models. And so part of it is modeling the behavior that I'd like to see, starting with caring about who they are, respecting them for who they are, and what their interests are, what they enjoy doing. Really trying to find out who they are as individuals has been a pretty effective strategy.